America is about to celebrate its 250th birthday. But what is America? Why are we the greatest country in the world? Well, the answer is we're not. And we haven't been for a long time, and we possibly never were. Right? I'm about to get really deep and dark with what I'm about to go into and all these stats, but I want you to keep an open mind because I'm not hating on any president. Because we've seen Trump, we've seen Biden, we've seen Bush, we've seen Clinton, go on and on and on and on. These stats have remained the same throughout Republican presidents, Democrat presidents. It doesn't matter because presidents have not ruled this country in a long time. Corporations have been in charge of this country since pretty much right after we won our independence from British. And the reason why I say won our independence is because the American Revolution was fought over an income tax rate that was only between 1 and 2%. And we threw a fit and said, taxation or that representation. Guys, they were providing security. They were getting our goods over here. They were doing a lot. There was a lot of representation behind that 1 and 2%. In fact, that 1 to 2% was possibly going further than any 1 or 2% ever has in the history of the world. Because 20 years after we won our independence for taxation without representation, we taxed our own citizens 5 times the amount that the British were ever taxing us. Good job, America. Your leaders worked you up into a frenzy in order to break away from Britain just so they could gain power and charge you 5 times what the British were. Now, right now, what we are waking up every day, the minimum income tax bracket in the United States is 10%. That's already 5 to 10 times what they threw a whole war over. Now, I'm not saying for us all to go to war, okay? I'm definitely not saying that. Not saying that at all. Please don't come and arrest me because we know we don't really have free speech anymore. Here's the thing. So everybody says that, and here's the stats, and people are going to get mad at me. Have an open mind. Every time you try to have this conversation, people go, well, if you don't like this country, move. Okay, like that's a very real possibility for a lot of people. More people are leaving America right now than ever before. Like it's because people are catching on to what I'm about to go over. And I'm not saying I hate this country. I don't, okay? Do I hate the economical landscape that we're in and the political landscape that we're in? Like, it's constantly shifting back and forth and doing this and that? Yeah, I do. I really do. Okay, so here's the stats. Depending on the scale that you are looking at, the best we do in education globally is 10th. The worst we do is 30th. And that depends on if you're looking at like high school graduation rates. That's if you're looking at IQ. That's if you're looking at people who go to college. It depends on the scale you're looking at, but it's between 10th and 30th. Nowhere do we crack the top 10. And if you break it down by each, like math, science, all this stuff, we're not anywhere near the top 10 on any of those like individual subjects. And right after a person gets out of school and starts their own life in this country, we give them more debt than any other citizen in the world. Globally, there is 8.3 billion people in the world. The United States has roughly 360 million people. Okay? Follow me here. This is going to get kind of mathy. So our population makes up about 4.5% of the global population. Yet we have more than a third of the global debt on its citizens. 4% of the population holds over a third of the world's debt. That is an insane number. Not only that, but we actually work on average more than any other citizen in the world, okay? German citizens, French citizens are actually working about 2/3 of the amount of hours that American citizens work on average. So imagine if every third day you worked, you got an extra bonus day off, like you got an extra bonus vacation day. You know, we on average as Americans work almost 1,800 hours a year. That is an insanely high number compared to Germany's about 1,300 hours per year. And that's not like a weird thing between Germany and France. We rank highest amongst all other first world like civilized countries. Now, remember what I said about the corporations rule America? That is a direct measurable factor of that statement. That corporations rule your vote. Corporations rule the Senate. They rule the Congress. Politicians are just figureheads in front of those things. Yet we are the only global superpower to not have universal health care. The only one. There are more than 30 what's called like considered like a superpower of the world. There's more than 30 of them. Japan, Germany, UK. That we're the only one of that universal health care. Okay? And everybody always says, well, how are you going to do free healthcare? How are you going to pay for it? All the other 30 countries figured it out, okay? Many other countries that aren't even global superpowers have figured it out. Okay, for example, there is multiple different models that I can reference here, but we're going to talk about this one. It's called the Bismarck model, and it is used by multiple of these different countries I talked about, and it's where all hospitals and hospital employees are government-owned and government employees. So there is no benefit for like commission sales or to boost things and to keep you in the healthcare system. In fact, it majorly helps the country if you are booted out of the healthcare system. So they want to cure you and get you back to work or get you back on your way. Where the American healthcare system is almost all private. When you go to the hospitals, most hospitals have a board of directors and it's a private board where it is very much about the almighty dollar bill. Okay, I am not making something up. This is not a myth or conspiracy. If you notice, all these points that I'm making have little links next to them that you can search this on your own. So we have a private insurance model. We have private hospitals. Other countries have government-owned insurance models and government-owned healthcare facilities. So they want you to get better, so it stops draining them financially. Now, just because you live in Japan or Germany where you have to have, where you get free healthcare, you do still have to have insurance because you're still responsible for that money. So in Japan, if you get a $20,000 surgery, you're responsible for up to 30% of it, but your employer also has to pitch in to help on that. That is right. Your employer has to help pitch in on that because their companies value their employees, unlike what happens here where you have to fight your boss to get maternity leave, okay? So if you go in, like I said, you're a German citizen, you do have to have insurance that you pay for monthly. But the highest that a major surgery ever cost on average is between $15,000 and $20,000. Do you know what the average cost is of a major surgery in the United States? The minimum is mostly $20,000 and it goes up to $100,000. So you're going to be responsible in those countries for 30% of a number that is a fifth of the size. And then your employer is going to actually pitch in and help on that as well. That is insane. It is just, once again, like I said, it is not a private healthcare and private insurance model. It is a government-owned insurance and healthcare model. They want you to get better so you can go on your way. Not here where they just want you to stay sick, so you have to keep going back and you have to keep paying money. So everyone say it with me now. The president's not to blame. The last president is not to blame. The last president is not responsible for good things. The current president is not responsible for good things because their job does not matter. Say it with me. Corporations rule this country. Everything else is puppets. Purely puppets. But surely our hospitals are better, right? Because they're private, they got more money, everything's flowing in there. There's so much money in these places. Surely they're better, right? No, we actually have the highest maternal infancy death rate of any country that's, once again, the highly evolved civilized countries. We have the highest. Our number is nearly double all the other major countries of the world. We have about 18 out of 100,000 children that are born into this country will die, like before they reach 1 year old. 18 out of 100,000. The global average for like highly evolved civilized countries is 7. So we have almost triple the amount of infant-related mortality deaths before the age of 1 year old. And then when you grow up, our suicide rate is right and the average. We have a moderate suicide rate. So we must be doing good, right, America? No, we only have a moderate suicide rate when you factor in every country on the entire planet, including the third world countries that the majority of their citizens are starving to death and don't have health care. That's when you factor in them. When you look at like first world countries, we rank highest in suicide rates. And like not even by just a little bit, it is a big time, okay? And no wonder we're working more hours. We have our children dying at higher rates than any other country in the world. We have expenses at the butt. We have more debt than anybody else. There's a good reason. These facts correlate right off of each other. We have more than double the average suicide rate than Canada or the UK. And on top of that, we have the highest incarceration rate, which some people could argue our police are doing a great job, getting people that are the bad guys. Well, yeah, they're getting more people because we have more crimes as well. We have an extremely high crime rate. The only people that we are comparable with on crime rates is like the countries you would imagine having like these crazy crimes where their government pretty much does not exist. Like some different like countries in South America where there's like a lot of guerrilla warfare and there's a lot of like gang activity. And then also countries, in Africa where they're like super small and they don't really have like a centralized government the way we do or military. So there's just like a rampant like gangs and stuff. That's what we're on par with. Okay, that's what we're on par with. Now, crimes in general, we're about average in the world, like even with the first world countries. But violent crimes, like physically someone is getting harmed crimes, we are blowing the doors off everybody else. And then you find out that our prisons are mostly privately owned as well. Okay, and prisons are a huge money-making business. So do we want to take somebody and arrest them for a petty crime when they're young and rehabilitate them so they never commit a crime again? Absolutely not. We want them to commit a crime when they're young. That's not a big deal. They meet a bunch of hardened criminals. They learn how to do hardened criminal stuff. We throw them back out in society where they're doomed to fail. They can repeat an offense and then go right back to prison because prisons, a lot of prisons out there actually get their funding based upon how full they are. So once again, a corporation rules America. Now we've talked about our prison systems, our healthcare systems. Everything is ruled by corporations. Our education systems, it's all by the dollar. So do you really still think that the political figure you vote for really even matters? Because it doesn't. Until we take power away from Walmart and Amazon and all these other major companies, it doesn't matter if you vote for the flying purple people eater or Santa Claus or, a regular straight Joe person. It does not matter. It does not matter at all. I am so sick of hearing about this person or you voted for this. Go look at any comment sections. Oh, this looks like a Biden supporter. Oh, this looks like a Trump supporter. You all look like clowns when you say those statements because it doesn't matter. I hope this is a wake-up call for a lot of people, and I don't want to incite any kind of riots or, say that we need to do any of this other crazy stuff out there in the world. But, until we come together and realize, we have the power to stop this. And what I mean by saying we have the power to stop this is if we stop feeding the corporate machine, it's eventually going to get sick and die from not being fed. And I know that sounds impossible and that sounds hard, but when you start supporting local small mom and pop businesses, and when you start supporting those places and you're not giving all the power to Walmart or something, have you ever seen the analytics of that? Did you know if Walmart were to fail, if somehow Walmart just failed today, the U.S. and possibly the global economy would be thrown into a frenzy by tomorrow? That's how much power they have because they have so much money. If we start taking that away and start giving it to mom and pop places or this and that and start spreading that around or just being smarter with our money and saving it. If we just say, hey, instead of that fifth TV or this whatever, we just start saving our money. Do you realize how much power we could gain back? But I know no one's really going to do that. Everybody wants to do something like I'm saying to, but no one really wants to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's... Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this rant. I hope you maybe opened your eyes on some things. Maybe you're going to go down some of these rabbit holes. And maybe a lot of this is news to you. Maybe you didn't know the prisons and healthcare systems and hospital was all privateered, financial moneymakers. Maybe you didn't know that. Now you do. Yeah, it's just getting, people always say, just get out of here, just move, just leave if you don't like it. A lot of people are. And it has nothing to do with political beliefs. It has to do with just how do I survive? And how do I keep living? And how do I keep going forward? I'm saying this now because I said it in a video earlier. We're planning a trip to Japan. It's me and my wife's honeymoon. We never got to take one years ago. And we're planning a trip to Japan. And when I saw the nightly rate, I thought that was the total amount. I thought, because we're so trained and conditioned, I'm getting Airbnbs that are nice places for anywhere between $35 and $60 a night. We've already paid for the nights because we're staying in a few different cities while we're there. And when I saw the total amount, I thought that was per night. No, that's because other countries take that power away from the corporations. They don't let them rule everything and they don't let them just demolish everything. If you go to Disney World, we just bought tickets for Universal in Japan for $40 a person. We looked at going to Universal in Florida and it was $180 per person because they know we'll pay that. This is the same company in Florida as that's in Japan, but they know the Japanese citizens won't pay that money. So they say, okay, hey, it's $40. And here in America, we say it's $180 per person because they know we're conditioned to pay it. But just let that sink in. I'm not trying to brag about a vacation I'm about to get to take, even though I'd never hardly ever get to leave this place. I'm just saying other countries like businesses in other countries know their citizens will not allow this to happen. So they just don't do it. We could do the same thing here if we stopped letting them know that they can do it to us. But they know they can. So why would they ever lower prices? That's the thing about inflation. They're never going to lower the prices back down. That's not going to happen because they see right now we're still buying at the same rate we always have. But everything just costs more. It's a sad day. If you like these kind of talks, go follow our podcast. It's called Matt from Nomads on Spotify and Apple Podcast. If you go over to YouTube, it is Nomads Animal Reserve. We'd love to see you over there, and we'd love to hear your comments and thoughts on this.